Okay. Hello, and welcome to the basement. As you can tell, this is not the forward studio, but, you know, there's still a pandemic. It's just me and the spiders. There's been some big ones. I'm hoping they won't come out because of this big bright light. But if they do come out, it will be on camera, and you will be able to tell just how afraid of them I am. You're here because you saw the title, switching from Canon to Fujifilm, which I did in 2016, so November of 2016. So that means I'm now almost 4 years into using this system, and I thought it might be a good time to go over, you know, the original why I switched, as well as what I've liked throughout the time using Fujifilm, maybe anything I've missed with Canon, and ultimately, am I gonna stay put / am I satisfied with Fuji gear? So I'm gonna try to get all that done before I get carried away by some really big bugs down in this basement. To recap, why I switched in the first place. Price. I was tired of Canon withholding features and charging a lot more because they are the industry standard. I get it. If I had unlimited funds, I might be talking about the Canon gear I use right now. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad experience. Their menu system makes a lot of sense. I felt like their ergonomics were always pretty beautiful. But as far as like affordability for good quality stuff, you had to pay a lot to get something that you could be really excited and really trust in. And that wasn't cutting it for me. So price, features, like I said, Canon's notorious for withholding features. As far as shooting goes, that was another point. The Mark II, it was all right to shoot with. The X Pro 2 is really great, slim, especially with these little water-resistant lenses. There's not a lot to carry around. So I found myself bringing this with way more than when I had my Mark II, which just means I'm shooting more, which means hopefully I'm getting better at my craft. And then there was the full frame versus the crop. It wasn't a huge deal for me at the time to switch between those. The low light was good enough, and still good enough for what I do. There was fast lenses that I could go to, the 56 1.2 and the 23 1.4 if I needed that. And I'll talk about this other funny lens that I got that you've maybe heard of, the Midicon Speedmaster, fastest lens for Fuji X mount that's currently available, I think. That could be a lie. There might be a different one, but it's one of the fastest, and I'll talk about that too. Hello? Oh, sure. You're in the video now. That's cool. I'm talking to you on the video right now. That's okay. So I'm going to touch on each of those points, and first I'm just going to lay out real quick what I've got. You maybe have seen in a prior video, what I use day to day. My main camera is still this X Pro 2. I think it's a joy to shoot with. It's fun, it's easy, it's sort of second nature, quick exposure compensation dial, good experience, still plenty fast for what I need it to be. I eventually did get this when they went on sale last year. It seemed like a steal, and I was hoping to have a backup body. I thought it would make a good counterpart to this camera. They're very different in a lot of ways, and it hasn't been too hard to use both, but I still choose the X Pro 2 when I have the option. The IBIS has come in handy on this body as well for some darker events, for sure, so I've been glad I've gotten that. So I got those. Like I said, I started with the Fuji 50 f2, moved on to the 23 1.4. I used 56 1.2 here in St. Paul. And then these are the third-party lenses that I got. I was doing a few real estate jobs, and I just wanted a wider angle. I read a lot of good things about the Rokinon 18mm equivalent, and it rang true. I don't use it very often. It's been sharp. I usually shoot it at f8. I know people use it for astrophotography. I haven't really done that. It's not my thing. But that's been good. I think I got it on sale from B&H for like 150 bucks. It was sweet. And then there's this funny guy. This is another 50mm equivalent. Well, I really wrestled with it, whether to get the Fuji faster 50mm equivalent or their weather-resistant one. And I really liked the form factor and the build quality of the weather-resistant one. and knew it wouldn't be as shallow for portraiture and that sort of thing. So I relied on the 23 and the 56, a 35 and an 85 respectively, until I saw this guy come on sale, Midicon Speedmaster. It's a 0.95 in crop sensor, which means it matched my old 50 1.4, and read good reviews, specifically Jonas Rask, who does a lot of Fuji reviews, and was sold on trying it. It's manual only. I don't mind the manual. I'm working pretty slow when I use this lens. I do wish the aperture ring was clicked, but for video, I suppose it's helpful. Solid built lens, probably one of the heavier lenses I have. It's maybe the same as this 56, maybe a little heavier even. So I acquired those over the last few years. Mostly, I use those three, 35, 50, 85, and these are kind of specialty. So that's what I did, that's what I bought. That was maybe too long-winded, but it served me really well. I can do most things I need to do, portraiture, art making. So all that to say, where we are now with price, Canon is still expensive relative to the Fuji stuff, especially if you're willing to buy a generation older body. I think the EOS R is still 1,800 bucks, somewhere in there. You can make beautiful prints with these cameras. They're quite good. As far as other usage with Fujis, things that I've liked, obviously the image quality is good, detail's really good, no anti-aliasing filter. I don't know, I don't pixel peep all that much. It's not super helpful, but there's a lot of detail, as much as I've ever had. I like the lens selection from Fuji. I do wish they had a weather-resistant, shallower 50. I'd just combine these and have one 50mm lens, but I don't mind having both. I can have all in one bag and I'm good. It's not too heavy. I still love shooting with these. A lot of fun 3 years in. I've gone a lot of places and they've really proved themselves to be effective travel cameras. I was in Europe for a month with an X Pro 2 and a couple lenses, and I came away with images that I love, and it's way less weight than a full frame would have been. It served me well in that way. I do take it way more places than I ever took my Mark II. It's changed my way of thinking in that way. It's allowed me to be more of a photographer and less of a gearhead, I think, which is good. We all need that. You who are watching this, just go shoot more. Your camera's probably good enough. Buy a Fuji if you want to. As far as where we're at too, do I miss the full frame? That's a good question. Honestly, I would say as far as portraiture goes, I do. I know not all portraits need to be shallow. That's just a fallacy. Not quite the same. There's a little bit of magic lost. I can get pretty close with this one, but I still really loved that 51.4's rendering. It was a pretty special lens. Everywhere else, I don't miss a full frame sensor. Again, I don't need it low light. Noise performance is pretty good, even on these 4-year-old bodies. It's more luminance noise than it is color noise, which just looks more natural. I've also found that the sensor, which I believe is Sony made for Fujifilm, that X-Trans sensor definitely recovers highlights and shadows better than my Canon sensor ever did. This is something I'm sure Nikon and Sony users have been saying for years. You can have it. Canon's dynamic range just wasn't there. This is much better than I had ever been in editing in post. Am I glad I stuck with it? Am I switching anytime soon? I don't think so. I'm gonna stick with Fujifilm. 3 years in, I'm totally happy with the image I'm getting. If I want a little more resolution, I can update these bodies. Should I get a job or a gig that requires something of that sort, I would really look into the Fuji GFX system. Reviews are great for those big Bayer sensors, and like on sale, people are getting a lens and a body for $4 grand. And so if I really needed high resolution, I would probably move in that direction and keep this crop sensor setup before I'd ever sell it off, buy a full frame. I like the size option in this X Pro 2 and this as well without the battery grip. So yeah, I don't miss it. I'm gonna stick with Fuji, I think, at least for the foreseeable future. Again, I'm not convinced any brand's doing it perfect. Right now, Fuji fits the bill. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments. We would like to be helpful. If you're thinking about making the same decision, it might not be right for you. I'm not saying everybody who uses Canon should use Fujifilm, but maybe you're having the same frustrations as me in terms of lens selection, cost, all that stuff. Fujifilm has been great, and so maybe we'll do one in the next 3 years, and we'll see where I'm at. Of course, if this was helpful, please like, please subscribe. We'd like to make more of these. I hope you're well. I hope you're staying safe. Think of the other in whatever you're doing, and take care till we see you again. Thanks.